Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is Prepping by Faith, and I wanted to share this article with you guys from Fox News. And this is talking about how Jackson, Mississippi is preparing to go without water periodically for up to 10 years as this crisis continues. And the reason I want to bring this up is because we don't talk about this enough, but water is so key to being able to, thrive in a crisis. And so we need to be filing this information away in the back of our minds, understanding that our areas are not without the ability for something similar to happen. And so, water is going to be key, and methods of saving that water and also purifying it need to be at the top priority. So, I will touch on some solutions for that as we go along, but I wanted to go ahead and read you some highlights of this article. So, organizations in Jackson, Mississippi are asking for help from other states as this water crisis dries up their resources. They said it's been over 5 months since the Pearl River crested and Jackson, Mississippi's water system failed. So now crews are working to replace their pipes, but families and businesses are prepared to go without water periodically for up to 10 years. And they mentioned the other cities across the country that have had fragile water piping systems. Besides Jackson, there's been Flint, Michigan. A lot of us know about that one already. Baltimore, Maryland, and Houston, Texas. The systems are replaced section by section after failure, but these years long projects can cause water main breaks. So that is a huge issue. And they say that this has been decades in the making. They say that every time they try to alleviate the problem, it causes pressure to go in another direction. And then when it goes in another direction and these pipes are older, then the water mains break. And that's just, shifting pressure everywhere. It's especially hard, on businesses. And they say that they've had the longstanding water issue has caused years of economic decline. More than 10% of its residents have actually left in the past decade. So they don't have the money they need there, coming in to sort of take care of these things. They don't have, the tax dollars. So I wanted to touch on one other thing that they said in here that I'm going to highlight. They said that it's likely that more cities may need help also because the American Society of Civil Engineers grades the United States a C minus overall in drinking water systems, saying that many are due for repair or replacement. And this could mean seeing a greater strain on our resources nationwide. That is a huge concern, guys. That's something that we need to be thinking about. We also have the continued droughts in the United States that we have to be aware of, but understanding that our infrastructure is really coming to a point where it's at a crossroads and it needs repaired. And even as they go ahead and start making these, repairs, it could still mean that your water is out of commission based on the fragility of these pipes. So be taking that into account. So I want you guys to be thinking of, not just thinking about a couple months of water stored up in some jugs that you have for an emergency situation, but what does it look like if you have a longer crisis sort of unfolding? What if you were periodically without water? How would you make that work? Do you have alternative methods for bathing? One of the things I brought up repeatedly are these things called scrubs that they use a lot in the nursing homes and in medical facilities, and for people who are, had just undergone a surgery and they can't get a full bath. Think about stockpiling some of those that need very little water to activate to sort of keep clean, keep your hygiene up. Think about things like, either baby powder or cornstarch or, dry shampoo to put up for your hair. Think about water storage. How much space do you have for water? Can you carve out a decent footprint in a basement or something to be making that a priority? Do you have rain catchment systems if rain is prevalent in your area? Have you thought about alternative sources that are near your home, reservoirs and things, or streams, and how you are going to not only access that water but carry it back? Do you have methods for carrying it back? Do you have a cart or something, or your vehicle to load it up in that area? Because water is very heavy, so we need to be thinking about how are we not only going to get there, but how are we going to transport it back, and what happens if you don't have a vehicle. So think about that. Think about other ways of getting the water. Another thing that I brought up before, if you don't have a well, is a DIY well kit. As long as you have groundwater within about 25 feet, you can go ahead and get one of these DIY well kits, and you can have that ready to go. I know a lot of us are in HOAs, so you can't automatically just go out there and put it, but at least if you have all of the tools you need for that, that's something that you could consider is, having one of those just in case, so that you could install it, you could access that groundwater. And then with that, guys, be thinking about filtration. And I believe in filtration as a three-step process. We want to filter out those larger contaminants, those chunks and things that would be in the water first, those things that are visible with the eye. So what I would recommend that you guys do is create some sort of a filtration system where you are using your gravel, your sand, and your activated carbon, and you're going to filter that out, get all those large contaminants out first, and then you're going to want to go ahead and put it through a boiling process. And then after that, you can go ahead and put it through a quality water filter system like your Big Berkey. So these are just some suggestions for you guys. Really be thinking about water, understanding how critical it is that we can't live for longer than 3 days without it. We need water. Water is a source of life. And these issues, guys, I believe are going to continue to compound. I don't think this is going to be the first story that we hear like this. And then also be thinking too about what does that mean if they sort of couldn't get that repaired? What is that going to look like for these cities? Are you going to start seeing, mass movement? Are you going to see a great exodus out of these cities? And then, who's going to be taking on all of these, relocating people? Are you going to see a situation where their home values drop and everything in these areas too? So be thinking about, wealth preservation. What happens if you had a crisis like that and, your particular area of the town, and then the value of your home plummeted and you couldn't even sell it? What are you going to do? Do you have a backup plan for that? Be thinking about these things. I think it's important that we understand that, sometimes these crises can be different than the ones that we've sort of envisioned, right? It doesn't always have to be a doomsday type scenario or apocalyptic, but it could be apocalyptic to you and your area if you were one of these people that, were in this situation. So I want you guys to just be thinking about these things, be better prepared in all areas. And remember to pray, prep, and put God first. God bless.